Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Train the Trainer series once again. And today we have an extremely special guest with us today. I have loads of things to talk about him, but with respect to the professional introduction, he has been a trainer, a communication skills trainer in Brussels for 8 years. And before that, he was an assistant manager, learning and development at Wipro and many other organizations in India. He Overall, he has almost completed 2 decades, almost 2 decades of being a trainer, helping lots of people like me, inspiring lots of people like me. So I got inspired not only to speak English like him, but also to take up the profession that he was into. And I approached him. I remember asking him, I really want to do whatever you're doing. I want to become a trainer. Could you help me out? And he was the first person who told me about the Cambridge CELTA certification. If I am a trainer today, I owe a lot of credit to our guest today. His name is Muzamil Pasha, one of the best trainers I have come across. And till date, whenever I have a question, all that I need to do is write an email to him, and I get a reply within 24 hours, despite the time difference we have. I'm extremely grateful for all the training and help and all kinds of support I have received from him so far. And yes, I'm sure you also get to learn a lot today. Some of you have asked me some questions. I have asked him some questions about grammar and language. So today we will start with those questions first, and then we will go ahead and ask about his career as a trainer as well. So, with all that said, thank you so much for accepting my invitation and being here, Muzamil. Thanks a lot.
Anytime, as you all can see, that Balaji is very modest and has definitely praised me a lot. So, I mean, but a lot of credit goes to him as well, because what drives you to become who you are is first the passion that you need to have. And I saw that instantly in Balaji, and I think that was incredible. And I was happy to be there for him because we need to support each other. And if you don't support each other, who is going to do that, right? And when he came back and asked me with so much of enthusiasm, and I couldn't say no to it. And he's giving me a little more credit than the one he should take for himself. But I think he's done a tremendous job, and I'm so happy how far you've come, Balaji. This is incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Muzamil. Well, let's dive into the questions. Muzamil, one common grammar question that I come across is this: when I correct students when they say things like "I went to Delhi last week." If they say I went to Delhi, that's fine. But if they say I went Delhi, I say no, you
Mhm.
cannot say I went Delhi. It should be I went to Delhi. Then they say I went to home yesterday. No, you should not use to here. How do we explain this?
Yeah. Very simple logic to it. So when you say I went to Delhi last week, so it's a place preposition, right? So we use to before a name placed. For example, go to Delhi or go to Mumbai or go to Paris or go to the office because it's a place preposition. But with home, we don't need a preposition because home acts like an adverb of direction. Therefore, we say go home, come home, arrive home. So therefore, you would say, I went to Mumbai last week and I went home last week. However, you can say, I went to my home or to my house, but not to home in standard English, basically.
Mm,
So, and I have a few other examples where you don't really need to use to, like, other than go home, come home, arrive home. You can do the same thing for downtown. In American English, you would say go downtown or head downtown. So you don't
mm,
say, I'm going to head to downtown, right? So, oh, head downtown. Let's head downtown. Let's go downtown. And the same thing goes for uptown. So let's go uptown. We wouldn't say let's go to uptown. Yeah. Or abroad is another favorite example of a lot of people, right? So let's
mm,
go abroad or let's live abroad. So abroad doesn't need a preposition. So you wouldn't say live at abroad, right? Although it's a place preposition, we would say just live abroad. Yeah. And not to forget overseas, since we are going to talk a lot about, travel and Europe and so on. So this is another question. So travel overseas or work overseas, because again, it's a place, yeah, where you don't really need it. Or inside and outside is another example. Go outside or come inside. You don't
Hmm.
need that. Or upstairs, go upstairs or come upstairs. Voilà, these are some examples where you don't really need to use to in comparison to the normal place nouns where you need to would be go to the office, travel to Spain, or move to the city.
Thank you very much for that explanation. Now, there is a lot of things where they don't have to use the
Yeah.
preposition. Thank you for that. Um, uh, Muzamil, again, prepositions could be troublesome. So, with the word discuss, people
Mhm.
tend to say, let's discuss about the problem, let's discuss about the issue, let's discuss about the matter. So, it should be just let's discuss the matter or let's discuss the solution. So why is that so? Why no prepositions for the verb discuss?
Simply because discuss is a transitive verb, it takes a direct object with no preposition. So, for example, we discuss the matter, not we discuss about the matter. Or if you really want a preposition, then you have to switch the verb. So, for example, you could say we talked about the matter, or we had a discussion about the matter. So, simply because it's a transitive verb. And other examples of transitive verbs are like enter a room or approach a problem, attend a meeting, or request information or lack evidence. Yeah.
And in simple terms, what would a transitive verb be?
A transitive verb is basically something that needs a direct object to complete the meaning. So without an object, the sentence feels incomplete or unfinished. Yeah.
Mhm.
The basic formula we use for this is subject plus verb plus object, and then you can
Mhm.
add place and time later. But you always need an object. For example, when I say she reads a book, so reads is equal to transitive, which means it needs a book. But
Hmm.
if you just say she reads, it's incomplete and there is no object, therefore you are not able to use it. So in simple terms, transitive verb is something that needs a direct object to complete its meaning.
Well, thank you so much for explaining it in simple terms.
Mhm.
Because sometimes I think that is what the students need when I tell them something. They're like so clueless sometimes. So is this? Have you experienced this when you teach in other countries? When you use certain terms, do people find it difficult to follow? Is that common?
Yeah, definitely, because grammar references are always related to your regional influences or how you have used language since you are, growing up or ever since you've been going to school or so. The most common problem I face in Europe is in the French-speaking part, I have people using more the Latin-based structure where longer sentences are a very common thing. And then from the German side, I have people putting the German structure, which means the verb goes at the end of the sentence, and they
Hmm.
try to incorporate that into English when they're learning as well. So obviously, it's not only in India, so it completely depends on your regional references and how strongly you know the language skills and so on. So it's as simple as that. So I think we should not be too hard on ourselves if we just learn the correct rules and understand why, and then you have your answer. As simple as that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. Then the famous question from the movie English to English.
Yeah.
Why I should not say I'm from the India, but I should say I went to the United States of America. So why the there? Why no article here?
So usually we should not be using the before a country unless it is a collection of states.
Hmm.
Yeah. For example, the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom is a collection of states. or the United States is a collection of states. The same examples as I climbed Mount Everest. Mount Everest is one, but I climbed the Himalayas because it is a collection of mountains. As simple as that. So usually when it's a collection of states or places, this is when you mainly use the.
And should it be only when it is mentioned in the name of the country as the states or anything of because India is also a collection of states, but then we don't have it in the name of the country. Is that why we don't use the for India?
That's such an actually interesting question. So yes, it obviously has to be specified because in the United States, I mean, it's very well known that it has many collections, but they also have their own laws and regulations separately as well.
Oh,
Likewise in the UK as well. So these four countries have their own rules and regulations and so on. So, I mean, when it is usually a collection, like for example, we do not say the with most country names, right?
yes.
India, Japan, France, or Brazil, but we
Hmm.
use the with plural names. You also need to have plural names as well. That's another situation where you can use the. For example, the when you say the United States, it has an S at the end, right? It has a plural name to it.
True.
Or you can also say the Netherlands.
Hmm.
Netherlands is one country, but it does not have a collection of states.
Understood. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Or
Mhm.
the same goes for the Maldives as well, right? The Maldives is ending with plural, or the Philippines.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Okay.
So basically, the republics, the states, the kingdoms, or the federations, or the unions, or the emirates. Exactly. So
Hmm.
this is when you would use the United States, the United Emirates, the Czech Republic. So it has to be a federation, kingdom, states, or and with plural names like the Netherlands.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So now I am going to share the whiteboard because we might need it to explain this is a question on punctuations.
Mhm.
So let's just give it a minute to load. So there are two different sentences here. Let me increase the size also. So how there are the two sentences have the same set of words, but then uh, the meaning could change because the punctuation is different. So could you explain that part to us, please?
Okay, so basically the general rule is no comma before because.
Oh,
That is
okay.
that is a general rule.
Before because.
Exactly. So no
Okay.
comma before because that is a general rule.
Mm-hmm.
When a clause comes after the main clause, for
Mm-hmm.
example, the mother beat up her daughter because she was drunk.
Hmm.
So technically in this, because a clause is coming after the main clause, you don't really need a comma here.
Oh, so no need of comma anywhere in this sentence.
Anywhere, ideally in the first sentence, there would be a known necessity of a comma,
Okay.
according to what I have learned.
Ha ha ha.
The reason is very simple. It's because the clause comes after. When you have a clause after, you don't need a comma. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So clause is
Okay.
a complete sentence, right? She was drunk can be an individual sentence, so we call it a clause. Clause.
Clause is because there is because, and
Hmm.
because it's a clause of this, so therefore you don't really need a comma.
Okay.
But the comma is used when because clause comes first. For
Hmm.
example, because she was drunk,
Hmm.
a mother beat up her child. That would be correct if you put the
Okay.
clause before.
Okay. So you mean, sorry, because she was drunk,
Mhm.
the mother beat up her child. Is this what you meant?
Exactly. This is more correct.
Okay.
But but I would suggest never put commas around because.
Uh-huh.
But if you say a mother beats up her daughter, comma, because, comma, she was drunk, it's actually an incorrect
Mm-hmm.
sentence.
Okay. So when this sentence is without a punctuation,
Hmm.
so uh, who is drunk here?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. So so because she was drunk, the mother beat up her child. Yes. In this context, the meaning becomes very subtle. So it can be either of the persons. It depends on the understanding of it. Yeah. The
okay.
ambiguity fix who was drunk if it's unclear. And if you
Hmm.
want to make it very explicit,
Hmm.
then you will need to say a mother beat up her child because the mother was drunk,
Hmm.
or because the daughter was drunk, the mother beat up the child.
Understood. Okay. So thank you
Yeah,
very much.
no
Um,
problem.
okay. So that brings us to the end of the language questions that I had. So we covered prepositions, articles. Prepositions and
Mhm.
articles, they are these small words, but they trouble us a lot as non-native speakers. Is
Mhm.
that the same with, I think you mentioned that that's a challenge with others also. Is that the same with all non-native speakers?
Yes, because so obviously here in Europe, people have two references, right? So the German based and the Latin based. So the Latin based people tend to use longer sentences. They tend to make extremely long sentences and complicate it unnecessarily. And the German based the grammar structure is totally different because a verb really goes at the end of the sentence and not before. They have their own references to it. I think everybody does make a mistake. Doesn't matter where you are, unless you've had like a proper English training.
Hmm.
I do believe that people definitely make mistakes. Yeah, depending on your language references or your regional influences or the knowledge of English you have. Yeah, completely.
Got you. Thank you very much. Sometimes it makes us feel a little better that, okay, we are not the only ones who are suffering. It's a universal problem.
Oh, trust me, I mean, I often work with a lot of big corporates here. When I'm working, a lot of them always obviously ask me, where are you from? And when I say I'm from India, they're often very shocked. They're like, okay, you look Indian, but you don't talk like one. So I'm like, I don't know how that happened because I did not go to a posh school or something.
Mhm.
I went to a very regular common school. In fact, my parents were very poor. I went to a very regular school. I think it was just a matter of teaching yourself, and I think I taught myself a little too well, or I was inspired by my English teacher, like you were inspired by several of yours. I was absolutely in awe of my English teacher, and I always wanted to talk like her. So I think she was incredible. So she empowered so much. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's my reference. But if you don't have these kind of references, I think it's
Hmm.
common that people make mistakes.
Okay. So, as you mentioned about how your English teacher inspired you, or possibly you picked up language from her. My first question about your journey as a trainer is, how did you get into this communication skills training?
Such an interesting question. When I started my career, I had just come out of second PUC, as we call it in India, which is considered as a secondary school or a high school in Europe. Due to my family situations, I could not go to the university to study because I couldn't afford it, and I had to support my family. So, and I started looking out for a job in a call center. It was a British call center, and I obviously got through the interview because I spoke fairly well, I believe. And I was put into a batch of very experienced people. And I was a fresher. I was 19. I was just out of PU. I got bullied a lot. So I got
Hmm.
bullied a lot by my experienced senior, colleagues who were also getting trained on the same thing as I was, and some of them even had 10 years of experience. I think they kind of got intimidated about the fact that a kid who's just out of school is in the same group as somebody who has 10 years of experience. Due to this, I think they wanted to, show that they have the hierarchy and they have more power or experience or whatever. They bullied me a lot and they laughed at me, and I made some mistakes, obviously, and I knew nothing about the corporate world. And that is what inspired me. Okay, so what do I want to do? I wanted to study fashion. I obviously can't afford that. What am I good at otherwise? And communication was one of the things that hit my head. And I thought, okay, let me just go for it. And then I did. The first challenge I gave myself was in the next few years, I want to be training these people who laughed at me. And that's
Wow.
exactly what happened. And that's how I got into the communication skills training. And the rest, I guess, you know the journey.
Wow, that's indeed inspiring. Sorry about what you had to go through, but I'm glad it turned out to be something that that is helping a lot of people like me today.
Well, as the saying goes, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. So,
Wow. Oh, I love your attitude. So thank you so much for sharing this very personal story with us. Uh, so,
anytime.
Muzamil, currently you are teaching people from European countries. I think it's not restricted to Brussels, right? Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing mainly European and I'm also doing the US as well. It's a
Okay.
recent development that started about 2 years ago.
Awesome.
I mainly work with very big corporates in Europe. One of my major clients is called GSK GlaxoSmith. It's a pharmaceutical company which makes medicines and vaccines mainly. I
Mhm.
also work with Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Mercedes, L'Oreal. So mainly pharma, automobile, chemical, and cosmetic industry. I often do a lot of trainings in Belgium, and I also travel to the UK
Wow.
because the headquarters of GlaxoSmith is in the UK, but they're also spread largely across the US because one of their major clients is the United States. I do because I want to have the same uniform training for all their colleagues. So I do the trainings mainly in Europe and the US, not only because of uniformity, but also because I know a lot of secrets of the pharma industry and the vaccine development and the process and the FDA, how they are involved and how they do the inspections. So obviously, I have signed an NDA, but they would like to work with somebody who knows the inside information, but also trusts the
Mhm.
person with this information because I work for competitors like Pfizer and GSK. So it could be a clash, but then I have NDA with both of them. So I keep my things to myself, right? So largely because of that, they tend to work with same consultants. So I was working as an independent consultant, but mainly collaborating with one of the training institutes.
Mhm.
I did that for the first 7 years, but last year I started my own company.
Wow.
So it's a language and communication training company, primarily corporate communications, anything related to public speaking skills. And
Mhm.
this is what I'm doing at the moment.
Mhm.
Uh, so this is the first step, and I look
Great.
forward to doing a lot more. And I see that it is in my blood, and I'm so hungry to do a lot more. I work with different type of professionals, with project managers, directors, CEOs. Recently, one of the most interesting person I trained was a very big top level lawyer from an American firm called Covington and Burlap, and she's a representative of the European Union for the subsidies on a European level. For the She works for the European Commission as well because she's representing this law firm and she's deciding all the procurement laws for the European Union. And it was so exhilarating because I just sat back and I actually cried. Like, how far have I come? I mean, sitting in Bangalore back in those days, I never thought I would get this far in life. Little did I know, but yeah, it was just like tears of joy and happiness. And that happened to me last year as well when my director came and told me, we want you to travel to the US and the UK and to Italy to do the same training that you have done. The clients are so happy. I'm like, I should have been happy and smiling and dancing, but instead I started crying. So
Wow. Uh,
it was
this
very
is
emotional.
great. So congratulations on becoming an entrepreneur. So that is a big one. So though other
Thank
things
you.
are big, but then this is something that is very difficult to take up, even if you know you're ready for it. Many people might hesitate to do that. So congratulations on that, and all the US and UK projects. May more come your way. So
Thank
I would love that. So if you have to give any suggestions for trainers based in India, if they want to explore opportunities outside India, maybe Europe or any other places, what path should they take?
It is not an easy path, definitely not an easy path because it comes with so many things around it. And the major part of that is being accepted. And that part is not easy to find your ground, to show them that you are worth it. The fact that you can do it is the most difficult journey that you will go through. So, my first step would be to travel to the country that they are interested in and then first explore the life, the culture, the weather, the atmosphere, uh, uh, the behavior of the people, because this is something that you will live with day by day. It is something that you cannot be frustrated with after some time. And you first need to accept yourself as well, right? And then you come here and you cannot just behave the way you have been doing wherever. So the expression which says, the idiom, when in Rome, be like Romans, right?
Hmm.
That is absolutely necessary. So first step is travel to the country that you're really interested in. And the second, and explore the situation and see if you really like the vibe and if it fits your values and energy. That's the first step. The second step is try to understand what kind of education you need to be able to get that job in that country. Because in Europe, they don't really care how much you experience, how much of experience you have in something, but what they really care about is you have a supporting education to go with it.
Hmm.
So if you have a different degree and if you have a different experience and you're applying for a job, your chances become automatically 50% less.
Okay.
So you need to have an equivalent university degree or a certification. In my case, it was more about certification that got me into it. After which, it was more my attitude that changed everything.
Awesome.
That's another thing. And step number three, integration. It is absolutely imperative. Integration in the country or learning the language of the country to show that you belong here, people will appreciate it. So when I moved here, when I was an outsider, I moved here in winter, cold, dark, outside the city. I knew nobody. But few weeks later, I took up the Dutch course. That's where I started, and I started learning Dutch. And then people who saw that I was speaking their language, this is when they opened up to me. Otherwise, they were not opening up to me. So if you decide to move to Germany, make sure you practice your German before you go there because they will not appreciate it that you move to their country and you don't speak the language and you want them to speak your language. Unless you move to the UK or the United States, then it's a lot
Okay.
easier because you
Yeah.
speak the language already. So I started with Dutch and then French, and now I have friends on both sides of the country. So
Hmm.
these three would be the top three steps I would take. And then, of course, the fourth step would be to try and see if there is a real scope, real opportunity. Will you make enough money and will you be able to survive with it? And what is your lifestyle versus what is the earning you're going to make? You need to match that as well. Otherwise, there's no point in coming to another, continent and struggling to make your money or struggle with your life if you already have a very nice life somewhere else. I don't suggest it.
Thank you very much for this step by step guide in terms of like what because sometimes we are totally clueless. We just see dreamy pictures from
Of
LinkedIn or
course.
Instagram and we think the life is going to be great there.
Yeah.
And we wonder whether we are doing enough or not. So now it's very clear. If you want to do this, then do one, two, three. Thank you so much for
No.
sharing this. It's going to help people like me who want to think about that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Muzamil, as a trainer, when you have taught students in India, the professionals in India, now you are also conducting classes for people all over the world.
Mhm.
So, what difference do you observe? What kind of challenges do you have when you conduct classes for people from other countries?
Hmm. So are we talking about language or more about communication?
More
Then
about the
that it's
training.
different.
As a trainer, what kind of
As a
difficulties do
trainer.
you face? Facilitator.
So I will tell you my first journey, how it started. Now I don't have the same feeling, right?
Mhm,
When I moved here, when I wanted to start, I signed up with an agency and they sent me to go and do, I started with language first, and then they asked me to go and do the training in company X. And I
mhm,
went to the company X. And I told the reception, I'm the English teacher. I have an appointment with student Y.
mhm,
And then the student Y comes and he is looking at everybody at the reception, but he's not looking at me
mhm,
simply because he's expecting probably somebody, a local person who's coming to train him. So that part of visibility, although I was wearing a bright red jacket to be visible, somehow I went invisible. So the visibility part is the first thing that people need to notice you. And then the rest all depends on how you open your mouth and what comes out of your mouth first. And that is exactly how people are going to perceive you. So I wouldn't call it judged. I think it is a culture shock. So people were not expecting it. And initially, when I was showing up at the the companies, when I didn't know my students yet, they would just come look everywhere, but they would not look at me. Uh, but if I walk up to them and tell them, "Hi, it's me. I'm Muz. I'm your trainer," then the moment I open my mouth, then everything changes. So that first impression you create is the most important thing. As we say, first impression matters, and this is what changed the game for me. I struggled a lot being accepted and being noticed. But I have a different mindset right now completely. And now I know that in a way I'm invincible. It
Oh,
must be a
love
little
that
too
statement.
boastful it must be a little boastful to say that, but that this is how I feel right now after what I've been through. And now I no longer struggle through it.
Awesome.
And also the scene has changed a lot. I mean, it's become extremely diverse. Ever since COVID, a lot of things have changed as well. And now also my presence on LinkedIn is different because of which my students look me up and they know the experience I have. And they're often now shocked, like, how are you my teacher? So that's now more the response they have.
Wonderful, wonderful. Musamil, as a trainer, I have approached you as a trainer and also as a student. I have often approached you for various questions related to language, and you have always had a convincing answer. You have always given me a convincing answer. And how did you reach this stage where you could spontaneously give clarifications on any of these questions?
Well, a simple answer to that would be years of deliberate practice. A mental map of the language in your head and a relentless error logging.
Hmm.
So that is how I got here. That is the very simple methodology I use. So it certainly wasn't magic. So first, I always built a roadmap mentally in my head for English, how to form meanings and use it in an interaction. What do I do? Do I memorize a rule or do I recognize a pattern? So
Hmm.
that was the first step. Secondly, I kept, teaching journals, learning every trick, learning very elegant expressions or explanations for that matter. Every time something was, every time I had a recurring error, I went into my error log and revised it again and refined it. And that's how I got into it. But not only that, I also had a good base, which helped me a lot. Uh, Although I went to a very poor school in India, as I mentioned to you earlier, but I was absolutely in awe of my English teacher. I just was so much in admiration of her, and that inspired me a lot. Like, okay, I mean, she has so much style, so much charisma, so much, passion when she's actually talking in English. I want to have that as well. So I had a good base. Base was absolutely necessary. But then the rest is just the methodology you would use, and you would revise, create error logs, create a journals, create a mental map, have everything in your head. And
Hmm.
it's your muscle memory. So you can train your brain to do these kind of things. And I read a lot.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, not as much as I should, but I do read a lot. That's how my vocabulary enhanced because one of my favorite authors is Salman Rushdie.
Hmm.
He writes a lot of controversial books. I often read his books. Sometimes I absolutely go bonkers when I read some of the sentences he uses. I'm like, is that even English literature? I'm like, how have I not come across this before? Why is it sounding so foreign to me? And then I actually add a deliberate layered practice to it, and then I use it in my communication or discussions that I'm having. I always incorporate first in writing
Huh.
because it's a lot easier. But when I do that once or twice, then it gets saved in my memory as well. Then it automatically comes when I'm talking as well. So that is how it came. As far as responding to your questions every time you write to me is because um, this is what inspires me more, that people like you come to ask me. This is like an inspiration for me itself. And I would like to be there because I know what it is not to be there for somebody. Because when I needed certain things in my life, I had to find it the harder way.
Hmm.
Uh, but then if I can do it, why not? As simple as that. And I always think you should take time for things that you really want. I truly believe in that. And also, when people say, I'm too busy to do something, that's utter rubbish.
Hmm.
Because if you really want something, you make time for it.
Thank you very much. That's nice
Welcome.
of you to help, and also, you answered another question. Many people, many students ask me, "How do I build my vocabulary?" And when I learn a new word, I forget it. You answered that part too. So thank you so much for those clear answers that anyone can put into practice if they try it.
Sure.
So yeah, uh, Musamil, as you were answering this question, I was reminded of another thing about you.
Mhm.
I remember you telling us that you speak four Indian languages.
That's correct. Yes.
And now, how many languages do you speak in total?
So basically, I speak Urdu, which is my mother tongue, and I obviously speak English, which is my first language, because I went to an English school. Everything was taught in English. And because I studied in Karnataka, I speak Kannada. And then my brother is married to an Iyengar Tamilian. So because of that, we also have Tamil at home. So I understand Tamil quite largely as well. And I'm able to speak, but not extremely fluently, especially now without practice. And after moving to Europe, I had to learn Dutch as an obligation if you live in the Dutch part of the country.
Mm.
But now I moved to the French part, so therefore I've learned French.
Wow. Uh, would you say that these learning these languages have also helped you to enhance your communication in English?
Um, Learning different languages, enhancing my communication in English, I think are two different things
Mm.
because my base is English,
Mm.
so I have used it the other way around. So I have used my English strength to transform my communication in other languages more effectively the other way around.
Okay.
Because I had to develop a strong base, and my base was English, and I had to be very strong in that to be able to use it as a reference in other languages. So
Okay.
I built my other languages around English and not the other way around.
Okay. But in what way do you think learning other languages helped you as a facilitator?
Oh, Many things, majorly traveling and being accepted in a foreign country. That's the first part. But the second part is how different language constructions are done and how different is it from English. Because when you learn only English, then we thought, oh, okay, this is like the great base. But no, but there's so much more to it. The Latin base is so different. The
Mm,
German base is so different. So if you have one good or two good structures in your head, learning a third language becomes a lot easier
mm,
because you know two good base structures. Now I know a good German structure, and I know a good Latin structure, or when I was in India, it'd be Hindi. So when you know so many structures, it becomes easier for you to just add another language, which is always beneficial anywhere you go in your career for any
mm.
prospects, especially if you're planning on to move to another country or have a better job. Obviously, it's going to come handy.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Muzamil, as a this is one thing I remember about you as a trainer. You used to work for a couple of months, take a break for a couple of months, and travel. That is one thing I really liked, as as a fresher who had just joined the company, and I see somebody who is doing an extremely good job, enjoying his work, helping other people, and also takes off vacation and travels, and then comes back again to work. That was I found that very interesting. So, how much do you love travel? It's more like a personal question. Yeah.
Well, you should see my Instagram. So for that, I mean, I'm a little bit ashamed of not having a very good carbon footprint because I travel so much. Last year, I took about 38 planes in a year.
Wow.
Yeah, but for both work and pleasure.
Mm,
So I definitely love traveling a lot. But coming back to when I was in India, when I worked, in cycles, intense months, then travel and then work again. What did I like about those jobs, if that is your main question? I think this definitely gave me, variety and velocity and a lot of vantage, new rooms, fast loading, wider perspective. It just broadens your horizon so much. A new world was open to me in so many different aspects when I, was working at Wipro and I first wanted to come to Belgium, and it changed my entire world, and now you see it. So all I can say is I think those roles were a big gift to me in my life, and the variety kept me, intellectually alive. 3 months of coaching, and then once your batch graduates, I did a lot of interviews to a lot of people as well, and then came here and I traveled, and then came back and I worked. So the velocity forced me to design the repeated systems that I could do. It created a new framework for me, a structure of things that I could develop for myself that could be very robust and still fit into every aspect of life that I wanted for myself. So it helped me to develop a system where I can resist anything right now.
wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So,
Yeah,
well, Muzamil, thank you so much for joining us and patiently answering all my questions. It's always a pleasure listening to you, and I got this chance after a long time because otherwise we are communicating over an email. So
sure.
I'm very, very, very happy that we could meet today and I could ask all the questions that I had in my mind. Once again, thank you for answering the questions. I'd like to leave you with one last question. If anyone wants to take up this profession as a trainer, a facilitator who wants to teach communication or language, what would
Mhm.
be your advice to them if currently they are not doing it and they want to get into this?
First thing is you need to be passionate about it. Yeah. And it's a skill. Don't worry about where to start.
Mm,
First is you need to have the passion. Do I really want this? If
mm,
your answer is yes, it's called communication skills. Skills can be learned. It is not innate. You don't develop this from birth.
mm,
So skills can be learned. So if you're passionate about it, first step is find out if you really want this. And then the second step is just go for it. Don't be scared. Don't worry about, oh, what if I'm not successful? don't you think it's better to try and then fail than having, failing to try at all? That's a very that this is the most simplistic way that I could actually put it in. Passion, and then just go for it. Start somewhere, even if it is small. Because I remember you were my student. You started from being my student to doing this right now. This is like a perfect example of a possibility. And I started from nowhere. I went to a very poor school. Now, if I have my own company in Europe, so it is possible. And I also started from nothing. And the time is now. It's not tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's indeed very persuasive as well.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for that. So, once again, I don't have anything else to say than thank you, because I don't know how else I could express my gratitude for all the beautiful things and the great support that you have always extended. And thank you for this interview too. Thank you very much.
Anytime, Balaji. I mean, when you sent me an email, I was so incredibly happy to see that you're doing this, and then you approached me for it. And I'm, this is, you are like one of my best proteges. So I think this is the most rewarding thing for another teacher, that to see his student come this far. There's nothing more to it. So you don't need to thank me. I think you've done everything that you could have, and the most rewarding thing is to see you here today. So it has definitely been a pleasure. Thanks again for having me on your talk show. So it was lovely talking to you.
My pleasure. Have a wonderful, I wish you a more successful career and especially a very, very successful entrepreneurial journey ahead.
Thank you so much. Yes. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.